All right, I thought we would play with words this week using a handy little tool called an analogy. So, analogies are basically a puzzle where you figure out the word relationship and then you mirror that same relationship with whichever words you choose. It sounds a little funky, but it's actually quite easy once you sort of see how they are. These analogies used to be tested on the SAT because they really show that you fully understand all the nuances of a word. They don't actually have an analogies section anymore. Celebrate if you want, but I still think they're valuable in terms of testing yourself on whether you really understand the vocabulary. So let's play a game. We're going to start with this example that I have here, and don't get thrown off by these dots and sets of dots. Basically, the way that example reads is up is to down as rich is to what? And then you would just pick a word. Usually there's a word choice list, but you probably already know. Laura, of course, up is to down as rich is to poor, right? These are opposites, but not all analogies are always opposites. So, what we're going to do on this week's episode of Freestyle Friday is talk about 10 common types, practice a little bit, and then we'll revisit it again next week. All right, so you could have a synonym, right? We had opposites before, but this time we've got huge is to vast as blank is to blank, as pain is to injury, cute is to adorable, goblet is to water, or praise is to performance. All right, make your guess. We're looking for synonyms, so cute is to adorable, just like you, right? You're adorable out there, YouTube friend. All right, number 2, we've got antonyms, or the opposites, like what I had with rich and poor. Plain is to fancy, as enormous is to gap, doctor is to surgery, clumsy is to fickle, broken is to restored. Which set is the opposite, is an antonym? Yeah, broken to restored. A third type of analogy that you might see is the degree to something, right? Like how much of that thing, I think of it as like qualities or along the line of development. So chill is to freeze, as tap is to push, hide is to reveal, gloomy is to race, or overt is to secretive. Which one is it like a little bit less than the next one? Yeah, tap and push. If I tap you, that's a little bit, but a push might knock you down. If I'm chilled, it's just a little bit frozen, but if I freeze something, it's completely done. You guys see the degrees that are happening there. All right, number 4 could be location. Letter is to mailbox, as poker is to game, camera is to tripod, slob is to slovenly, or shark is to ocean. Of course, shark is ocean. The letter lives in the mailbox, and the shark lives in the ocean. That's ocean is the shark house. We know that, right? Stay out of there. Number 5, another might be a part and the whole, like a small bit of it, and then the word for the whole. Like ship is to fleet, as bus is to train, as dealership is to automobile, as star is to constellation, as navigate is to sailor. Which is a small piece first and then the larger group? Yeah, star and constellation. Number 6, in the 6th type, I guess, of relationship could be performer and then the thing, the action that that person does. So nurse is to heal, as run is to exhaustion, jealousy is to resentment, wealth is to bankruptcy, or comedian is to entertain. You probably felt it with the parts of speech, which is a clue there I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, it's as the nurse will heal and the comedian will entertain. The 7th type of relationship is cause and effect. Practice is to improve, as cry is to whimper, bleed is to cut, study is to learn, or change is to revert. Cause and effect, study is to learn. If you practice, you will improve. If you study, you will learn. The 8th relationship pair is classification, right? So checkers is a type of game. So checkers is to game, as blank is to blank, as lettuce is to crunchy, as carrots is to vegetable, as chess is to logical, as solitaire is to lonely. Of course, carrots are a type of vegetable, checkers are a type of game that you can play. Your 9th grouping, characteristic or quality. So a peacock, right, is iridescent. It has that quality. Zoo is to animals, as pillow is to soft, as cloud is to atmosphere, or as computer is to work. Which one is a quality? Yeah, a pillow is soft, right? A peacock is iridescent, just as a pillow is soft. And our last grouping for this time around is the object and then the action that it takes. So scissors are to cut, as pencils are to sketch, as candy is to bitter, as paper is to trees, or as water is to bubbles. Well, I hope that's feeling logical to you. Scissors are used to cut and pencils are used to sketch. All right, when I give you some of these puzzlers, and I'm going to do that next week, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. You probably heard me doing a little bit of it as I was going through it. First up, you might want to look at the parts of speech. So if the pair is set up with a noun first and then a verb, then the second pair will reflect that same part of speech order. So if it's scrambled, it's probably wrong. So use that as process of elimination. Another tip, like I just said, is keep the same order. So if it's a cause-effect analogy, then the cause has to be first and the effect has to be last. We wouldn't switch it around for effect-cause to pair with a cause-effect. And then the third one is I like to make a sentence. Sometimes if I get stuck on one of these, and the ones I've given you this week are pretty easy, they get a little tricky the deeper you go into setting analogies. But if you can't figure out the relationship, oh, that's clearly a synonym, or oh, that's clearly, an antonym pair, then use a sentence using the first pair and see which other pairs fit into that sentence. So here's another example for you. Aspirin is to headache, as sprain is to ankle, hospital is to surgery, nap is to fatigue, and wellness is to performance. Well, if I were doing this and I was in a testing environment, I might say something like, well, I know that aspirin relieves a headache and a nap relieves fatigue, right? And we have the same parts of speech and it lines up nicely, so that helps. All right, that is it for this Freestyle Friday. That is your introduction to some common types of analogies. I'm going to come back next week with practice round. So we'll do some practicing of these analogies in action and see how you do. Monday, of course, is grammar. Wednesday is vocab. And then next Friday, we'll do some more analogies practice. I hope you join me then. Hope you had a great week and that you're set for a marvelous weekend. You guys be awesome. I'll see you on Monday. Bye.